All right, yeah, the left-handed.
Left-handed.
Yeah.
I'm right-handed.
About 10% of the population is left-handed, I believe.
Really?
Okay.
That's it?
Something like that.
All right, and looks like they're recording. So
A fair amount of deaths happen every year from being left-handed because, of using right-handed shit. Something goes wrong or whatever.
Oh, I was like, where are you
Usually,
going with that?
it's like
scissors?
has to do with like machinery and stuff like that.
okay, all right, everybody, welcome to Ktown Social Club. We're back with Ed Choi and Douglas Kim and Michael Wan. He changed form today.
He's in a super secret location that
Yeah.
we can't discuss. because-
Robot in disguise.
He's on some secret deep state vacation trip, I
Yeah.
think. I don't know.
He
know,
really
deep
would.
states-
He wouldn't even tell us. We were last week. We're like, "Where are you going?" He's like, "I'm going on a vacation." We're like, "Yeah, we established that."
Yeah, he doesn't. I told Doug yesterday where he's going, and Doug just started laughing
Oh,
because he'll probably
it's
talk
so
about it.
pedestrian,
Yeah,
but
he'll probably talk about it when he gets back. But
Oh yeah, that makes sense because he's
it's a family vacation, though, right?
is it?
I think it's probably.
Yeah,
Oh, now I'm curious.
I don't know.
he's gonna go meet APAC, or I don't know what he's doing. Hey, Doug, aren't you sad that Michael's gone today? Like, you won't have anyone to discuss your ideas with now.
It's fine. I got you guys.
Yeah.
What do you guys? Chopped liver?
Okay.
Yes.
Well, anyway, thanks for joining us again on Ktown Social Club without Michael Wan, who's on a secret trip. He'll be back in about a week. And then, Doug, you won't be here next week. So,
Yeah.
yeah, you won't see Michael for
Maybe
a couple
for-
weeks.
For 2 weeks. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. Well, yeah, because I'm coming back July 2nd. I don't know what that is.
July 2nd. Where are you going?
Well, the deep state's always after me. No, just kidding.
New
I'm going
York?
back to New York to visit
Yeah.
my parents.
Oh, you visit them pretty regularly.
I mean, I was there for like half a year because my dad was in the hospital. But
Right.
I haven't gone back. Have I gone back since January? I don't think
Oh,
so.
okay. It's been almost half a year. All right.
Maybe not.
Dang, January was
Anyway,
just
it
like
is
last
just-
month, no?
Yeah, it feels like it.
It's Father's Day and his birthday soon, so
Father's
Yeah.
Day, right? That was recently, yeah.
I got him one of those.
Said by like someone who probably didn't sound like they did anything for Father's Day.
I got I guess a TikTok ad convinced me to buy one of those books called like Dad, Tell Me Your Story, where it's just
Oh,
like a,
yeah,
kind of like a workbook.
Yeah. It's like a blank
Yeah,
book
yeah.
with
I was like-
prompts.
And then I bought it and I was like, damn, the ad freaking worked on me.
I saw that ad. I was like, this is an interesting book. I was like, Happy Father's Day. Here's homework.
Well, I'm planning to work with him with it, interview style.
Yeah.
So that's what you did for Father's Day? You bought him a book.
Yeah, well, I guess to be continued, once I get there, we'll be doing this book. But apparently also has been going golfing again, so I will
Nice.
be taking him golfing since he
So
can't really get around.
You go
places
golfing
also.
too. You know how.
No, I don't know how to do golfing.
So you're just going to drop him off at the course.
No, I'll be there, probably reading books about Kim Il Sung.
What?
they-
Just golf with him.
I can't do. I don't know how to do. I'm
It's-
like
I'm
5
horrible.
left hands.
Yeah. But it's still fun.
So you'll be like his caddy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You're going to drive the cart and all that?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
and then while he's doing his thing, I'll just read books.
I only went really golfing one time, and between me and my one buddy, we lost a whole box of balls by the 9th hole. And it was still amazingly fun. It was fun.
Did you ever get golf lessons? Did you know how to hit? You never knew even how to hit.
I mean, I know the gist of it, but I never took real serious lessons or was really taught. I know you lock your elbow and then hit the ball.
Right.
Yeah, my dad always watches either golf stuff on YouTube, or Baduk, the Go
Right.
stuff. Why
Yeah.
do Koreans like golf so much? It's just kind of weird.
Yeah, Koreans like hiking.
And golf.
Maybe they like being outdoors and walking around.
Golpu.
But it's just
Corpo.
leisurely sport, maybe, is what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't
Between
know.
hiking and golfing, those are both leisurely sports.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, and in Korea, I noticed a lot of beautiful women. They like to play golf too.
Yeah.
Well, they're
yeah,
probably
yeah.
just influencers trying to sell golf equipment.
Well, I think it's also it's like a class thing now too,
Yeah,
isn't
right.
it? Yeah.
And they all wear like their short skirts and their long socks and with their, designer stuff.
Their
and,
visor.
Yeah, they're like hot rich babes or something, playing golf. I noticed that.
They're probably like, Chebble socialites or something.
There's like driving ranges like 2 on every block in Seoul.
Wow.
Wait, really?
At least
Seoul?
one. Yeah.
Well, they do a lot of screen golf, like virtual golf.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they do that now, yeah.
Because
I see a lot of those on the Korean dramas when it's a scene where they're just like hitting.
Yeah. Those things are awkward.
Yeah. But anyway, it's been a few minutes, so let's get into today's show. It's really about, Asians in America. And, I have a question for you guys. Do you think that the United States of America is pro or anti-Asian, or, what do you think, Ed? Let's start with you.
I mean, historically, we're a pro-white country, and seeing as how like the Chinese were like the first and one of the only ethnicities to actually be banned from the country, I'm gonna say no.
Right. Okay. So the United States is not a pro-Asian country.
No, they like to use us, but
Right.
I wouldn't say it's a pro-Asian country.
Okay. And, what do you think, Doug?
Well-
Ed says that the United States is not a pro-Asian country. Well, what do you think?
Well, what do you mean by? Well, first you have to, delineate. What do you mean by pro-Asian?
They are supportive of Asian people and, giving us a good life and all that.
Like even just saying it out loud, you're laughing.
Well,
So it's clear. I mean, it's pretty obvious.
no, there's a
It's
lot
not
of...
a country that is pro-Asian by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
what do you say to all the Asian Americans out there, especially, for example, the conservative Asians like Yeonmi Park, who say, why are you guys complaining? This is such a wonderful country for us, and you guys don't know what communism's like. For
Actually,
example.
Yeonmi Park has been sour. She's been saying that like all this woke stuff is like is worse than North Korea.
Well, I recently saw her on was it Toilet Paper USA? I'm sorry, Turning Point USA.
Wait, was that purposeful or
I was
that
like,
like
what's
a
Toilet Paper USA?
turning point?
No, she was on
Yeah,
TP
no, I
USA
get it
on
now.
I think somebody put a video of her on Twitter and she was saying something like, I don't understand people who complain about America.
Well, she's being paid obviously by American.
Well, also it's just like
interests.
ironic because like she's complaining.
Oh, she's complaining about those who complain.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, like I hate when people do that shit.
Yeah, we're American. We're allowed to complain. That's
Yeah,
a First Amendment right. So shut the fuck up, bitch.
Yeah.
Are you calling Yeonmi Park a bitch?
He did.
Yes.
He literally
Yes.
did.
You wouldn't date her.
Shut up, bitch. No, are you kidding me? She looks like she got like 1990s Beverly Hills style
I
plastic
mean, not that
surgery.
there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah. It's,
Some people are into it.
I'm just kind of like,
wait,
yeah.
does she
it's-
look like
She
90s
looks
style?
very emo right there, to BH.
It's obvious, like
Can we show her image?
She's obviously supposed to be catering towards this like old, crusty white man. Kind of.
Wait, is she over 30 now? She's 30.
She's 30.
Oh my god, she's only 30?
She's turning
Well, she
31.
came when she was in like 20.
I
right?
think
like 10 years
she-
ago.
I think
thought
she
it
started
was
gaining
only-
traction about 10 years ago, and I
She
forgot.
defected 10 years ago, but yeah, I think more traction wise, she was like 4 to 5 years ago.
Oh, I don't know why. I thought she was older.
Oh, you thought she was older than that? Oh, I guess this is her new Twitter. So she,
What is that style? She's like,
yeah, what is that style?
Like I said, 1990s.
Oh.
She's got 1990s like plastic surgery and like some weird stuff.
she's like, someone named Pharrell wore hats like these.
Anyway, like, do you know about her, Ed?
Yeah.
I mean,
What do you
who
think of
doesn't?
her? Like, she's very known for exposing the truth about North Korea.
I think she's I don't know. I put her like in the same box. Maybe like not the same box, but she kind of reminds me of Candace Owens for some reason.
Candace Owens. Okay. Well, anyway,
Like you kind of question, are they for real or are they just like,
Doing a bit.
yeah, doing a bit? You know what I mean?
I don't think Yeonmi Park is doing a bit.
Yeah, but Candace Owens is now like, she seems to be anti-Zionist now, I think, right? She got
Yeah, but
fired
she's
from
also sharing some Nazi propaganda as well.
about Jewish people.
About, the Bolsheviks being, anti-Christian or something and all this other
Yeah,
You
like
think
that can't be real. Like she can't be real. She must like after the film, like the camera stopped rolling, she like takes off her like figurative mask and she's like, oh, fresh air.
Do you think it's possible that Candace Owens she was ignorant about Israel before, and as she learned more, she changed, and then is it possible that as time continues that Candace Owens will then be like, oh, whatever the thing about Bolsheviks, she'll think that it's wrong? Like maybe she's like on a learning process now?
I mean, I guess there's a possibility, but I feel like people in the media, especially somebody like Candace Owens or like, somebody who's made a significant amount of money off of media, they don't really just shift their views on a dime. Everything they say and stuff is very planned and is meant to hone some sort of like narrative in a certain direction or be divisive or do something in the direction that they see it. And a lot of that has to do with their bottom line. They know that if they do pursue X, Y, and Z strategy, they will get the most views, the most clicks, the most advertising or opportunity. So that's not to say that it's impossible. Obviously, anything's possible, I suppose. But
I mean, Tucker Carlson, he lost his job at Fox, and he's been kind of.
But like I
changing.
said last time on this show, I think like it's also possible that Tucker Carlson is a complicated, controlled opposition agent. Like
Right.
You never know. Like with people, especially with people who've already made a name for themselves, have a significant online presence, have millions of followers. Those are the people who are going to be most suspected to sell out if the opportunity arises. So like, yeah, maybe they'll say all the right things up to a certain point, and then at the last moment they'll slip in something that's their corporate overlords are happy to give them money to say.
Do you think Noam Chomsky is an example of that?
I don't know too much about him, but I do know that he's just
He's a linguist.
I heard he's an anarcho-syndicalist.
Anarchist, libertarian, or libertarian socialist or something like that.
At the end of the day, I don't really trust anyone politically unless they are Marxist-Leninists.
So you don't trust Michael Wan?
I mean, what do you mean by trust? I mean,
he's been in media and journalism for over 20 years, and he has a pretty big Korean following.
Yeah. And
is he deep state? What do you think?
Well, oh no, I don't think he's deep state. I think he's just trying to figure out solutions or ideas or answers rather. Trying to figure out answers in the kind of, but he claims that he's anti-establishment, but it's funny that he accepts certain narratives from the establishment when it comes to especially when it comes to foreign policy. And especially when it comes to China. It's like, wait a second. You say that you don't
What's happening?
Trust the establishment, but then, whenever the establishment says something about China, you take it, 100% wholesale. I don't know what's going on right now.
I just was curious all of a sudden.
Right. Yeah, Michael Wan and I and Doug are in like a group chat. It was set up months ago. So we would tell like, hey, Doug, can you come and like, what do you want to talk about or whatever? And Doug just, you brought up that same point in the group chat.
Yeah.
And there was no response.
I don't think I ever mince words.
Recently?
A couple of weeks ago, he's like, for someone who's against the deep state, you seem to believe everything about the deep state. Says about China, and then there's like, nobody said anything after that. That was it.
Well, you could have said something.
Awkward.
Well, for me, I just read it because I'm like, all right, these guys are just, going back and forth. I'm like, save it for the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
but
he's
anyway,
also from a different generation, kind of.
That's true.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A different generation and a different, like, cultural context completely.
Yeah.
Because he grew up in Korea.
Yep. And then, like, especially in Korea at that time, those 8 years made a lot of a difference. Right. You know what I mean? Like, from a experience and viewpoint kind of.
Yeah, and he grew up believing that the North Koreans were devils, like they had horns and stuff like that. And, and when he was born, who was the leader? It was Park Chung-hee. And then South Korea didn't
And
democratize until he was
More
like
so.
12 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chundu too, yeah. So anyway, going back to the thing about whether the United States is pro-Asian or anti-Asian or whatever, there's some stories that I'm going to bring up today that tie into all this. So let's go into the first one. It says, let's put this up on 77-year-old Oakland man arrested for fatally shooting home intruder. So it says a 77-year-old man in Oakland was arrested on suspicion of murder after police said he fatally shot one of 3 burglars who'd broken into his home. He was taken in by police after they showed up and found one person dead, and the homeowner pointing his gun at a female burglary suspect. Now, according to a witness, 3 people, 2 men and a woman, arrived at the man's home in East Oakland late Monday night. That was stolen. One of the men had a crowbar. They disappeared into the property, and then the witness heard a gunshot and called the police. So, yeah, there was a guy dead inside, and then the elderly resident was pointing a gun at the female would-be burglar. Second male suspect was found in possession of a fake gun. Now,
Wait, so when the police arrived, he was pointing the gun at the female suspect.
right. Anyway, he was arrested, and apparently this was a Filipino grandfather, according to what I saw on Twitter.
You don't have to decide if it's self-defense. It's one of our amendments
Wait, what do you
Yeah.
mean?
in the Constitution, like the right to bear arms to protect your property.
Yeah, so why would he be arrested for that? It's kind of strange.
Because we live in a Nazi country that hates Asian people. That
and
if
over
you
here-
if you can't kill us, send us to a concentration camp.
Yeah.
Let's look here. Even you tweeted this.
You're-
The Josen one, I am Douglas Kim, says, if you can't kill him, send him to a camp on Asian elders by the American Nazi Party. Okay, I don't know what that is, but it says over here, 77-year-old Filipino grandfather in Oakland is arrested and put in jail after defending himself from 3 home invaders. Now, what would be the
Of course,
point of
they
arresting
used a
him?
photo that makes him look crazy.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I'm assuming that's his mugshot.
Anyway, that was posted by originally, I guess, Asians with Attitudes.
Look, if those instances where those kids were like turning around in your driveway and you shot them, there's a case there. You know what I mean? But for home invaders,
Yeah,
that's
if you
insane.
go inside the fucking house,
with even a crowbar,
and it's funny because like we just talked about that Yang case yesterday when they were like, oh, he had a knife in his hand. Well, this guy had a fucking it was fake, but how the fuck is he
how would
gonna
you
know that?
Yeah. And even just a crowbar. You know what I mean? If you see a younger person as a 71-year-old,
And not only
it's not even
77,
like
I think it's 77.
yeah, but either way, it's like it's not equal weaponry. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he has a severe disadvantage because he's older.
Old.
Yeah. Like
And,
significantly old.
And it's not like Oakland is this place where this never happened. This has been happening to Asian elders
Yeah.
in the Bay Area for a long time, like home invasions. Like, so I think there was like one where like they tied them up and like killed them or something. And it's just kind of like, what the fuck do you expect them to do? What are you looking for?
I'm just trying to find more information about this thing because there's not much.
Yeah, it's just like obvious. It's basically Pamela Price and her fucking Nazi policies.
And who is Pamela Price?
She's the DA,
Yeah.
Oakland's DA.
Is she the one that said Asians are the enemy?
Yep. She said something like, what did she say? Something like Asians are my enemy.
Wow. Okay. So here's something from the Oakland side.
Yeah. So I
Former
called her,
spokesperson.
the Himmler of the Democratic Nazi Party.
Okay. So who? I know Heinrich Himmler. I know the name, but what did he do?
No, wait, was it Himmler? Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was the leader of the SS, which
Yep.
is the Nazi secret police.
Pamela Price, I know a bunch of Asian cases where she just like, I don't know if drop the ball is even the right term. Like, for instance, there was this
Threw
one.
the ball away.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, there was this one case of Alexis Gabe, who was this girl who lived in the area and in the Bay Area, and she was murdered by her boyfriend, who then cut her into pieces and scattered her body and like hid it throughout the county. And like, he ended up getting killed by the police in Washington State because he ran away. And then when they
What was his
opened
name?
the door, her name was Alexis Gabe. And when they opened the door, he like ran out of the house with a knife, like at the police. So they shot him.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like evidence that his mom abetted him and like helped hide the body, helped him run away. There's like text message proof and things like that the people are even aware of. And she's like refusing to press charges against the mom.
Wow. Okay. I mean, so there's this thing that regarding Pamela Price, a former spokesperson accuses her of racism. Here's Pamela Price here. She looks like anyway.
She looks like
Looks
a
like
what?
she's about to give a sermon is what she looks like.
So Patricia Patty Lee filed a complaint. So Patty Lee is probably Asian. And then over here we see that in her time working for the DA's office, Lee claimed she experienced a clear anti-Asian sentiment, including remarks from supervisors and Price herself. On one occasion, Price told Lee that her enemies were the media and the Asians, Lee alleged.
The Asians.
So
Asians.
why is it that, and I've seen this also on social media where black people say that Asians are our enemy, Asians are anti-black and all this. Where is this coming from? Do you have any idea on this?
It comes from white supremacy. It's the whole bottom of the barrel mentality. You know what I mean? Like, let all the minorities, fight over who's the bottom of the barrel and distract them from, whatever privilege that we want to think. But that's the reason why, like, people are like, oh, model minority, like, that's not negative. It says that you guys are like hard workers and stuff. It's like, no, that's a stereotype they use to pit us against the other minorities. You know what I mean? And then thereby, like, we create a distraction where we're fighting amongst ourselves and other shit's, running rampant because we're too busy.
Okay. Do you agree with that, Doug?
I mean, yes, but at this point, I also think that, well, it goes back to the civil rights movement.
Oh my God, Michael, not you.
Essentially, okay, well, God, there's no easy way to, like, explain this in a sound bite.
Do your best.
That can't be taken out of context to sound bad.
Exactly. But I guess essentially, black liberals kind of formed an alliance with the white liberals in the 1960s, especially when it came to the Vietnam War and promoting it. And that was kind of like a clear indication of anti-Asian hate in America at the time. Of course, we didn't really like experience it because we weren't really here in large numbers. In 1965, when the Hart-Celler Act was passed, we were only 0.5% of the population. Like, we're like 6 or 7%
are we
now. Yeah. So we're like almost over 10 times the amount of Asians that was then there then. So there wasn't like discrimination that happened like per se or a lot. But there was anti-Asian sentiment because they were like, yeah, fuck the gooks or whatever. Like, these fucking, like, Asians, they're trying to bring communism and kill us all or whatever. So that sentiment was built into, like, Americanism. And black people at the time with the civil rights movement, a lot of the white liberals, they were like, hey, if you join in our effort in Vietnam and, like, help us in this war effort, we'll give you rights, we'll give you bills, we'll give you money or whatever. And so these black liberals, they told their communities to do all this stuff and said, like, hey, if you join the military, this is a way for you to become American. This is a way for you to be accepted in this country for standing up for this country and protecting this country. And you will be, accepted in the society as being more American because, you help defend America against this crazy communist threat. So from that instance, there was already kind of like this thing of like anti-Asian sentiment, not just with white people, but with black people as well, because it was just kind of like, if you want to be American, then you kind of have to be anti-Asian because these Asians are anti-American. So it's just kind of like it's an us or them kind of situation. And then later on, yes, the model minority myth came out. That was around the 1980s. That's when, we came here in the 1960s, right? So, 18 years later, what happens? Our kids are starting to crush these fucking academics and get into these schools. And, Republicans, yes, they used it in the 1980s, especially during the Reagan era, to say to black people, hey, these Asians did it. Why can't you guys do it? You know, ignoring obviously all the previous structural kind of like, you know, historical things that, you know, the Contra, CIA, drug stuff, you know, Tulsa Massacre and all this other stuff that like, blah, blah, blah. So during that time, Democrats started to say, oh, it's a myth. This was like probably like 10 to 20 years later, like in the 90s or 2000. Oh, this is a myth. Asians aren't actually, you know, like doing well because they work hard. They're doing well because white people gave them, you know, extra privileges, which is not 100% false, but it's not 100% true. And so like in the black community's mind, it's like, oh, when Asians came here, white people just rolled out the red carpet for them and then just allowed them to succeed like without any hard work and like blah, blah, blah. And so there's, like you said, there becomes this crabs mentality where they automatically assume that like, oh, these Asian people, they put stores in our neighborhoods and they took from the black community and, you know, they never gave anything back. And they've been given all these privileges by white people that we never got. And so, of course, they're doing well, blah, 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 whatever. When, you know, it's like, no, you're leaving a lot of parts out of that story.
That's a big one, though. That's a big one. The institution, like the people who run the country, the banks, they would give loans to Asians, but only in black communities. While also
it wasn't true either. A lot of if you watch the documentary that I made, a lot of those stores, they were, you know, I don't know if you know about the system, like especially with Koreans, about the caste system, where like, yeah. So that's how they actually did finance a lot of their early stores, by like gathering a lot of money and like giving it to
that
person.
I know, you're right.
Yeah, and so I don't think that I mean, like, yes, maybe there's an element to that when, you know, the people who came over on H-1B visas or cash visas, yes, maybe they were given or extended a lot of credit because of all that. But as a whole, you know, I grew up with a Korean dad who, you know, went to Seoul National University, went to all the biggest school, whatever, and it took him till 38 to finish residency. And so, yes, like, obviously I grew up in a pretty privileged lifestyle, and I'm not saying that I suffered or anything like that, but it wasn't just kind of like a cakewalk to, and he, suffered a lot of racism in his workplace too. So it wasn't like, this hunky-dory situation. I think like this narrative is such that white liberals, in my mind, are trying to substitute, Asians for white people and say, hey, these are the people who are in your way. These are the people who are not woke. We're on your side. We want you to succeed. We want to give you affirmative action. We want to give you, DEI initiatives. We're the good guys. These Asians, who are complaining about these, affirmative action or that we're discriminating against them, they're the ones who are in your way of progress. So you should go after them. This is what white liberals are really actually doing, in my opinion, throughout their media, like subliminally, to put the onus of progress, of racial progress, on the Asian community. And that's why, I call people like fucking Pamela Price the Afro-Gestapo, because it's like fucking Nazi policy.
So you're saying that the whites in power create, they create these conditions, and then they say, hey, it's not us doing this, it's the Asians.
Yes,
so they're
and it's
using
the white
Asians,
liberals, not the white conservatives, who are doing this, in my opinion.
Okay, so the white liberal is using the Asian community as a shield.
Yes.
To protect them from, genuine rage from the black community.
Not only that, they're also doing it because they know that Asian kids are fucking crushing their white liberal kids in schools. So they want to use this thing to also designate how their schools look, because they want to maintain control. They're actually using these policies to fucking instead of giving the DEI positions from their white spots, they want to take from the Asian spots to give it to the black and Hispanic people, because they're not going to give away their spots.
Right.
If they were so they talk all about Stuyvesant and Bronx Science and whatever. These are highly Asian American schools, right? That that they're trying to say, oh, this is not diverse enough. But they don't say anything about their fucking private schools that are like almost overwhelmingly white, you know, because it costs like $80, $90, $100,000 a year to go there. Like, so they never talk about those schools, but they always are like, oh, it's the Stuyvesants that are the problem. We need to get rid of the SHSAT. There are too many Asians here. There are too many, like, you know, it's just been all this fucking bullshit that's been going on with the Democratic Party and Asian people.
Right. And Ed, I know that I know you don't like Biden, but, you know, you do tend to lean more Democrat than Republican, right? So what do you think about what Doug just said about liberals and Democrats?
I don't know that that's necessarily true. I mean, I don't think liberals are not guilty. I think they're just as white liberals are equally contributing to the problem. But like, for instance, like when they repealed and like got big part of the Asian community to back getting rid of affirmative action in schools, like it's been proven that all those seats were then filled by white students.
Wow. Okay.
Like in a lot of those schools where they like did that, in Harvard specifically, like those seats were then filled by white students.
Do we have that decision just came out last year. I think we need some more data to.
No, but I mean, in the next admission cycle, it was like primarily there was an uptick in white students that went in enrollment at Harvard.
There's not enough time to because that decision came out 2023 when, you know, the 2023 matriculation already happened.
Yeah.
And so the only thing that could have happened was 2024. But do we have the numbers for?
They have the admission numbers for 2024.
Well, I'll have to look into that. But
okay. Well, anyway, so yeah, fucking this country's anti-Asian, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me give another example of.
It was like you know, Malcolm X. He was also like, you know, it's the white liberal that's the snake. Like the white conservative, he was like, I understand their position, I know where they stand, but the white liberal pretends to be your friend, pretends to do all these things. And I think they're actually fucking over the black community as well. Like, I think that black liberals are in cahoots with white liberals to keep the black community down so that they have political position.
Okay. So let's go on to our next story. Here's an exclusive by ABC7. San Francisco firefighter describes brutal 2022 attack by colleague that ended his career. Now, let me go, you know, because it's going to be too long to read all this, but Gabriel Shin, probably Korean, he was attacked by a fellow San Francisco firefighter who...
Yikes.
Let me see. So Diane Yap, she seems kind of racist, but let me see. She says, black privilege in San Francisco. Black firefighter looks up Asian coworker's address, shows up at his house, and tries to beat him to death with a wrench. Asian firefighter gets fired for cooperating with police. Black firefighter keeps his job, never missing a paycheck. Now, you know, what do you think about this, Doug? Did you know about this?
I mean, I read. Obviously, I know about it.
Oh, yeah. So you uploaded this thing here. 2 days after that phone call, Robert Muhammad, I'm guessing that's the black guy, used the computer at Station 25 to retrieve Shin's work schedule and his home address and left the station with what's called a hydrant spanner.
Oh, my God, those things are huge.
A heavy bass wrench measuring 15 inches that's used to turn the water on and off. Yeah, Muhammad drove across the bridge to Shin's home in Oakland and found him out front sweeping the sidewalk. I heard somebody say, Are you going to tell me who told you? And I turned around and I said, Robert, what are you doing here? He said, who are you protecting? I said, I forgot. And then he reached into his back pocket. He pulled out a large brass spanner and he started swinging at my head. A witness called 911. 911 emergency, what are you reporting? Yes, somebody's being beat with a wrench on 9th Avenue and East 19th Street. So court records allege Muhammad swung the wrench at Shin's head approximately 12 times, breaking his arms as he tried to protect himself, giving him a concussion. One blow sent Shin's glasses across the street, he said. The attack stopped only after a neighbor who works against human trafficking pulled a handgun and confronted Muhammad. Shin told us, and then he slowly dropped the spanner and looked backwards and walked away towards his car, which is approximately a block and a half away. Now, the thing is, why is the black firefighter dude, nothing happened to him, But this guy, he complains, and he's like working with the police department, I guess, to get some justice. And yet he gets fired. So what is that? Is this part of like the thin blue line within the fire department, or what's going on here?
It's more that, like it's in Oakland too, right?
Well, yeah, he was beaten in Oakland, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like the DA, Pamela Price, and before her, Chesa Bowden or not Chesa Bowden. Chesa Bowden was SF, right? But basically, in these liberal cities, in the past 4 or 5 years, because of Black Lives Matter, they've installed these DAs that are super soft on crime. And so what happens is that, like, all these anti-Asian hate crimes happen in when
did that happen, though?
2022.
2022. Okay,
Yeah.
recent.
So, all these things are happening in LA, New York, whatever, and then they go unprosecuted. So what does if a black person is angry at an Asian person, what's the first thought in his mind? Oh, if I do some shit, nothing's going to happen to me. So I'm going to do it. I'm not saying that all black people are like this or whatever, but I'm saying like the black people who are, the black psychopaths, it's like basic game theory. It's just kind of like, hey, if no one's going to do shit, if I just kill like a fucking, Asian person, then why don't I just do it if I want to? Like, I'm not saying that all black people or, want to do this, but I'm just saying the opportunists that do find an opportunity because they're like, oh, if I'm not going to get prosecuted for this, I'm going to do it. And that's like kind of like what happens even with like the theft stuff, right? Like we see it at the lower level, like, hey, if like we're not going to get prosecuted for stealing under 950, like let's make a business out of it. I think you mentioned that that white couple that made made a business out of it. So it's just kind of like if you have a black opportunist who's just kind of like, hey, I could act on my impulses, but maybe I'll get caught by the police and that would be bad for me. But when they see shit like this going unprosecuted over and over again, like from fuckers like Pamela Price, what goes on in their head? They're like, oh, well, see the firefighter people, they're not going to do anything about it. It's black people that are mistreated in this country for 200, 400 years. These Asian people, they're basically white. So it's okay if a black person takes out his aggression on this Asian person because they probably deserved it in some sort of way. And this is kind of like the machinations that are going on in the fucking Western liberal leftist community.
Right. Anyway, it says Shin's attorney, James Torres, says Robert Mohammed never faced discipline and never missed a paycheck. So you have an individual that the chief has allowed to continue working all this time, continue drawing taxpayer salary all this time after attempting to murder a fellow firefighter. The lawsuit also says several of Shin's direct supervisors ordered him to drop the charges and to not cooperate with the police investigation of the attack. The first person called me and said, "Is there any way we can work this out?" Gabriel Shin said. The second person called me and said, "You can't charge him. You've got to drop the charges. That man's got a family." And of course, I was angry. I said, he just tried to kill me. The lawsuit says they treated Shin with startling prejudice and Mohammed with baffling favor from the outset because they saw one difference. Shin is Asian and Mohammed is black. Still recovering from his injuries and PTSD, Gabriel Shin refused a fire department interrogation, which he believed would not be about the attack, but focused on who was talking about Robert Mohammed's family crisis. Within days of that, Chief Nicholson and those deputies took away his pay. They took away his health insurance before he could even recover from those injuries. So this black guy almost kills his coworker, and then his bosses tell him, he's got a family. You can't do that. But then they say, fuck you, and they take away his.
Wait, does Robert Shin not have a family?
Well, I mean,
because he just almost died. Also, I want to know some of the other details about this.
Why did he attack him, right?
Yeah, well, it said something about, I guess there's some rumors being told about Robert Mohammed's family.
Here's what it is. The Robert Mohammed had a family crisis in July 2021. And it says, we won't discuss details out of respect for his privacy, but his colleagues were concerned about him.
Past that.
So former San Francisco firefighter Gabriel Shin said, people offered to cook for him. people offered to work his shifts for free, and he rebuffed my offers, but I've never had a conflict with him prior to this. So 6 months after that family crisis, Gabriel Shin tells me Muhammad called to ask who in the firehouse was talking about his private business. Robert, I said, I take ownership for speaking about that, and because we were concerned for you, but I'm not going to tell you who told me. And he said the next time he sees me, he's going to hurt me. So I guess he was very upset that people were talking about what's going on in his, about his family situation. He didn't want anyone talking about it. And I guess this Korean guy, I'm guessing Korean, Gabriel Shin, maybe said something that he didn't like. But it seems like whatever Gabriel Shin was saying was more out of concern. But even if he did talk some shit, is that enough to go over to his house? Look up your coworker's address on the computer, drive over at his house and try to kill him.
No, that's unhinged.
I mean,
behavior.
it's fucking crazy, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
yeah, but also what are the details of what ethnicity is the fire chief?
Oh yeah, who is the fire chief?
What's the racial makeup of that fire station?
Right.
I'm assuming Robert Shin's the only Asian person there.
Yeah, I mean, not many Asian. Well, there are lots of Asians in Oakland, right?
Yeah, but they're not really firefighters a lot of the time.
So here's the head of the San Francisco Fire Department. She looks like a white woman. She looks like a San Franciscan woman. You know what I mean. I don't want to.
She looks like the type of person who'd be afraid to be called racist.
She looks very San Francisco liberal to me. I mean, I don't know. There's something. So yeah, what's
White
your deal?
Liberal.
What's with this fucking? She looks like a. She kind of looks like Blinken, huh?
Well, I don't know that liberals are driving this, but I do agree that they, at least conservatives are blatant about it. But white liberals will pretend to be progressive and care, but when it comes down to it, they're going to protect their privilege. You know what I mean? So
which now the mathematics is now protect black people because now it's popular to protect.
Well, not only is it popular, but I think what BLM did was at the very least it showed the country that black people will come together for their own. You know what I mean?
I mean, I think
and they will
O.J. Simpson already showed that.
Yeah, but that was a long time ago. You know what I mean? History repeats itself every decade because people have really short attention spans. But I think what those riots did was at the very least they were black community will riot. They will riot for their community. And what I think the rest of America also learned was that through Asian attacks, they were the Asian community, they won't riot and they won't even come together, let alone riot.
Yeah.
So when they're forced with a situation like this, and that's what I mean by the one thing about white liberals is you're right, you can't trust them because they pretend to be progressive, but really they're at the end of the day they're going to protect their own privilege. And I think they do this hierarchy thing where they're do I want to deal with the black community or do I want to deal with the two Asian people who are going to talk about this online? You know what I mean? And it's
right. And Janine Nicholson, the head of the San Francisco Fire Department, she was appointed the chief by London Breed. You know London Breed?
Yes.
The black mayor of
San they're all Sorosian fucking
and
stooges.
Janine Nicholson is a proud lesbian.
Oh, proud.
Yeah, an out and proud lesbian. So this is wokeism, promoting wokeism or whatever what do you call that?
Woke imperialism?
Yeah, I don't know, whatever it's called. And then, and then one Asian guy gets nearly murdered and it's whatever.
Yeah, they've kind of built this new, at this point, wokeism has almost become kind of like a religion for these liberals. It's if we follow these set of rules, progress will happen, and they treat identity like Pokemon fucking cards, where it's oh, are you black? Well, you get +5 points. Are you Asian? Well, you get -1. Are you gay? You get +2. It's just there's no like fucking thought to like, actual context or like what is actually happening on the ground. It's just like they treat it as if it's some sort of like woke math problem, and retarded results ensue.
Right. Anyway, I don't know what's going to happen with this. I hope something happens to the crazy freaking firefighter dude. Yeah. Anyway, let's see what Gabriel Shin looks like. I don't really know what he
I
is.
was gonna say show Muhammad's face.
Yeah, what's his name? Muhammad.
Robert Muhammad.
Robert Muhammad. Firefighter. Any pictures of him? So, that's him.
Yeah, and fuck we're trying to keep his family shit private. No, blast that shit
once
out.
your
That's
fucking
crazy.
attempted murder.
Yeah.
It says,
Because like people want to know what was so private that you were like, oh,
Yeah.
this warrants murder.
yeah, I mean, what the fuck, man? And even the headline here says San Francisco firefighter charged for assaulting, not attempted murder, I guess.
I remember though. I mean, I think things are somewhat improving because like I remember like 2-3 years ago, like when even reporting this, you'd be called anti-black for like reporting.
Yeah, I remember, especially after George Floyd, anytime there was something about Asians, there was all these Asian American leaders or whatever, influencers. They're like, well, we must address our anti-blackness first. I'm like,
It's like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, that did happen though, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just had to not ever just call out the color of their skin.
Yeah. Anyway, that's that. And let's move on to our final thing of the day on how, maybe America hates Asians. Would you say that's true? America hates Asians?
Yes. I would say it stems from imperialism, as everything does. Like it obviously hated black people, or imperialism, racism is always predicated on power and like how to maintain it, right? Like with slavery, there was a lot of like in the West, there was a lot of like debate about like, hey, wait, this isn't Christian. Like, what are you doing? Like, because like I think the Quakers in 1688 actually were like protesting. This is against our religion. We protest against slavery. And so that was actually, congratulations, Pennsylvania. You guys were the first people to protest against it. But I think over time they build these kind of like race theories. Especially in France and England, where they were like, oh, we're actually civilizing them, like they bring different sorts of justifications to like, and on it goes with Jim Crow and all this other stuff. It's always kind of like a measure of control. Like we don't want these, newly freed freemen to take our jobs and influence our politics. So we need to like, keep them down or whatever. Same thing with, I think Asian people once they finished getting all the way to California, what's next? We need more territory, right? So you had the Spanish-American War at the end of the 1800s, where they took all this territory in the Caribbean, but they also took Philippines and encroached upon Hawaii, and where there was a lot of Asian presence. So it's just kind of like when you need to take over more territory, you need to justify, what you're doing, your colonialism, and even in the Philippines, right? That's actually where the song "The White Man's Burden" came out. They brutally massacred Filipino people during their occupation there, and they Rudyard Kipling or whatever made this song justifying like, oh, they're backward. It's our burden. It's our job. Actually, this is the assignment God actually gave us in order to.
He wrote the Jungle Book, right? Is that
I'm
him?
not sure if he wrote that, but he did write this song that was very popular at the time. It's like, oh yeah, we are good people to these Filipino, savages that need to be civilized, and so on and on it goes with the Cold War, right? Like, why did America enter World War II in the beginning? It was to protect European colonies. Like they saw that Japan was encroaching on Vietnam, because the French were occupied by Nazi Germany, and they cut off their oil to Japan, and they knew that Japan would eventually attack because they needed the Southeast Asian oil to continue their war campaign. So the Americans baited them to attack them because they wanted to protect Europe's, Britain and France's influence in the region.
Okay.
And so, it's all to defend American imperial. And then, on and on it goes with the Korean War, with the Vietnam War, with it's just they want to control Asia. And because of that, they need to be anti-Asian. They need to say, oh, China is a threat. China is this big monstrous threat to us all. It's this existential threat, actually. It's not just like a whatever. So the racism takes a different character because, like, obviously, like, African Americans aren't a threat because of some sort of foreign influence Africa. They're kind of like made as a threat because of certain things that happened throughout our nation's history. So the racism against Asians aren't going to look like the racism against black people. It's going to take on a different sort of like more insidious character, in my opinion. More mirrors Nazi Germany's racism against the Jewish people, as they also said, hey, they're the reason communism is a threat. They're the reason, like, we're being attacked by communism. We need to attack these Jews because if we don't attack these Jews, they're going to take over with their communism and destroy us all. That was basically the Nazi line. And, like, that's the same line that's happening today. We can't allow China to have farmland. We can't allow China to have TikTok. We can't allow China to have this, because they're a threat, even though they haven't been at war since 1979. They're this military threat that's encroaching on, like Philippine territory, whatever. And it's just all this fucking bullshit. So in the media is to, like, paint the Asian person as this existential threat to America that subliminally, like, leaks onto us as, like, whatever.
We are existential threats to white people, yeah. Okay, so thanks for your thoughts, Doug. We have one more thing before we end this show. We only have about 9 minutes, so let's get into it. Have you guys play games? You play Fortnite? What do you play?
Yeah, I've been meaning to cover this story, actually. It's been in my back pocket for a little bit. But yeah, I play games.
What do you play?
I play games.
Diablo?
No.
I'm a gamer.
Yeah, I played, I like Call of Duty, I like some of the online games there. I did play Fortnite for a little bit.
You had to play StarCraft, right?
Oh, yeah, I definitely played
Not
StarCraft.
two. You played one, right?
I played all of them, yeah.
Okay.
But starting with one, yes.
He calls himself the Dark Templar, or the Korean Zerg.
The DPRK Templar.
The DPRK Templar.
Because it's one letter away from the Dark
He
Templar.
says that Koreans are the Protoss, and that Americans are the Terrans, and Japanese are the Zerg. For obvious reasons, apparently. Anyway, what do you play, Doug, besides StarCraft?
Today or these days?
These days.
I mean, I don't play that much these days, but I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Final Fantasy VII. I remember when that came out.
That was my
first
freshman year of college, and like played that game. That game was so long.
Yeah, I played the original back when it came out. I was like 13.
Oh, you mean like Final Fantasy the first?
No, 7. So I'm talking about
Super Nintendo.
Squaresoft. They remade the game.
Yeah.
So I played that version in the past.
Okay.
But yes, it was on PlayStation. Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah. And
the new one was pretty good too.
Yeah. That's what I was. Yeah.
Right. I might play that if it's on PlayStation because I got a PlayStation.
It's on PlayStation 5.
Yeah, I think I'll check that out because I hear those. I've never played any of the Final Fantasies. I hear it's great.
Oh, it's a time suck though.
Yeah.
Each game takes like at least 100 hours.
Well, the first
you're right.
They made Final Fantasy the remake into 3 parts.
You're right.
The first part is actually only like around 30 hours, but yes, the other one is a little bit longer in story, probably like 50 to 60 hours, but like the other content is like, well, I've played over 200 hours now, so.
Well, okay, there's a game. It's called Assassin's Creed. Have you guys heard of this game? It's called Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, I've played probably like at least 5 of them, 5 or 6 of them.
So it's a series of games.
Yeah.
Is it a samurai game or?
No, it's an assassin game. The majority, they've all, except for this one, have taken place in some historical Middle Eastern area. And it revolves around these Templars, like early Christianity, like pre-Christianity almost, and then you're basically like going around assassinating the Romans for the most part,
right?
And then it changed went a little off historically, and then you were like killing like Egyptian people and like all these other, different storylines. But then they decided to go into
now
samurai.
they're doing Yeah, so it says here, according to Wikipedia, and this Assassin's Creed Shadows is coming out in November.
First off, the title.
Shadows?
Yeah, like, because it now features a black man.
Oh, right, yeah. So it says set in 16th century Japan towards the end of the Sengoku period. The game will focus on the millennia-old struggle of the Assassin Brotherhood, who will fight for peace and liberty, and the Templar Order, who desire peace through control, from the perspective of two protagonists. So one is Naoe, a female shinobi. I'm guessing she's Japanese. And Yasuke, an African samurai inspired by the historical figure of the same name.
Yeah.
So what Kangmin Lee, who's a well-known, I guess, Korean-American conservative influencer.
We're actually mutuals.
Oh, you are? Okay. Well, he's got about 48,000 on Twitter. Apparently he does Twitch. So he says here, still can't believe Ubisoft created a game where a black man goes around killing Asians in 2024 LMAO. So here is some of the gameplay.
What's up with the music too?
Doesn't it seem strange that there's a black dude in Japan just killing a bunch of Japanese people?
Yeah, and it's like the whole concept is weird because like Assassin's Creed predicated on this idea of like being an assassin. You have to be like stealthy. A samurai is like the complete opposite of stealth.
Yeah, you gotta be like a ninja, right?
Yeah, ninjas like, are stealth, but samurais are like the warlords.
Clunky. You're wearing like a full suit of armor.
Oh, he just decapitated an Asian dude.
And like, so Yasuke is like a real person, at least mythologically has existed for a while. This like first black samurai.
There was this Japanese historian who was like saying some stuff about like the historical inaccuracies of the game or whatever, and apparently Ubisoft blocked him.
Oh, really?
You saw what?
There was this on Twitter. There was this Japanese historian who was talking about the inconsistencies to the Assassin's Creed Twitter account of the Yasuke thing, like an actual historian, not like just some random Japanese.
And
dude.
Here it is. It's a black dude and an Asian girl,
which is also like a weird dynamic. You know what I mean? Like they didn't want to include an Asian guy in there.
I mean,
I feel like it would have felt different a little bit.
And then there was it showed an image of the Ubisoft dev team. You know what I mean?
Were they all white?
They were like mostly white women.
White women are the worst.
This isn't the one that I saw, but yeah, there's no Asian dude. There's got to be at least one or two Asian girls here, no?
No,
anyway.
That is crazy. In 2024, after this like recent uptick of violence against Asians, to like make a game.
This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking when I'm saying white liberals are, they're not ignorant of all this stuff. They're malfeasant, in my opinion. They're trying to like fucking start shit.
I don't know that they're trying to start shit, but I think a lot of them are. I think they are ignorant.
But look at this article from what is this?
Like,
IGN?
yeah, maybe the rank and file, but like the people up top, they're not ignorant. They know
it's
what
like
they're doing.
You know what this reminds me of? Kind of like when I worked at Red Bull. I worked on the HR team.
Yeah.
And the head of the HR team was this white guy. And I remember we had some like diversity and inclusion meeting. And this white motherfucker got in front of the whole HR team. And there was like, HR team was predominantly white. There was like 5 of us people of color. There was like me, the Asian guy, there was like an Asian woman, and then there were like 3 black women on the team. And he goes up there and he talks about how he knows how it is to be discriminated in America because he's married to a black woman.
Oh, fuck that guy.
And it was at that moment that all 5 of us literally went like this. We looked at each other and we were like, that's crazy. And like his immediate team is just filled with white people. You know what I mean? So there's just like, there was no, like, they clearly didn't run this by anyone.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then like, even from like a gaming standpoint, this is the dumbest move in the world because the majority of gamers are Asian. You know what I mean? Like, yes, everyone in the world games, but like there's high levels of gaming amongst the Asian community. And like arguably some of the top tier players are Asian.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like, who are you marketing this to? Like,
Right.
who's this game for?
But and do you guys know IGN? Apparently, it's like a gamers website,
Yeah.
I guess. So they have an article here. It says, "Let's not pretend we're mad. The new Assassin's Creed Shadow Samurai isn't Asian. It does nothing for Asian representation to have another samurai hero." Now look who wrote this. They got a fucking Korean guy, Matt Kim, to write this. He's a senior features editor.
Looks like such a tool.
Does this guy look like a tool?
Yes.
He looks like a tool.
I don't think it looks like a tool.
And
He
he's from
looks-
San Francisco.
He looks really naive.
He's from San Francisco, man. And, I mean, we're seeing like, what is this? I find it hypocritical and laughable that we're only talking about the need for an Asian protagonist now that it's been revealed that it will star a black samurai. This misses the forest for the trees. While I'm always advocating for more Asian men in games, I'll be the first to say that better representation isn't going to be found in yet another samurai hero.
It's always
I
the
mean-
samurai stuff too.
If I wanted to see an Asian samurai protagonist, I don't have to look very hard. So why is it, of all people, an Asian guy who's saying that we shouldn't be mad about this?
Because he's a cuck that they trot out to say whatever they want.
You think he's a
like
cuck?
a
Is that what
fucking-
it is?
He does kind of look a little
Stick their
cucky.
arm up their ass and they make their fucking mouths move where whatever they want to say, like a fucking ventriloquist, you know?
Yeah, I find it funny. They always use like Asians to write shit like this. It's usually an Asian woman, but once in a while it's like an Asian dude. And when it's an Asian dude, I'm just like, dude, come on.
They're never chads.
But why is
Yeah,
it
they're
al-
never Chads, are they?
Why is it always samurai stuff? Like The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise, The Great Wall, or I guess technically that wasn't samurai, with, you know,
Matt Damon or whatever,
Yeah,
right?
which was
Yeah.
like trending on Netflix like a month ago for no fucking reason.
We need to make a movie where the number one cowboy is Asian. And
He kills a bunch of white people.
No,
and
but
black
but when you do that, white people freak out.
yeah,
They're like-
because they're the most sensitive
They're like,
ones.
oh, Spider-Man's not white. He's not supposed to be black. He's white. It's like, I don't think you read the comics because there is a black Spider.
Yeah, white
It's
people
almost
don't.
like America's anti-Asian or something.
Yeah,
They're
wh-
anti, not white.
Yeah, they're always like, I don't see race until it affects them. They're like,
Until it
wait,
affects
you know,
them.
why does it? Why does Little Mermaid or why does or whatever? You know
Oh God!
Anyway.
Remember that little? God!
what?
Remember when the black or not black people, but black liberals on Twitter were angry that Korea didn't like Little Mermaid.
Oh God! It was just it's like all it takes is one idiot to put a tweet and then it gets retweeted.
It wasn't even true.
And first of all, like, why are you proud of a story where a black mermaid gets with a white prince? Like, this is the pinnacle of your
It's
representation.
always a white man, huh? The white man beds everyone. Anyway, all right, we it's time for us to wrap this up. I think the conclusion is that America hates Asians, but Asians love America, right? It seems.
I mean,
When it comes to in terms of immigrants or whatever, who's more patriotic than Asians? To the United States, loyal and whatever.
I mean, it's all the Gusanos are loyal to the United States.
Gusanos, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not about race. It's about how much you are hating hating communism.
Yeah. Okay. I guess. I don't know. I don't know that much about communism, so. Okay. But anyway, yeah. Thanks, guys, for your thoughts. Asians. Let's. I don't know. We got to do
Riot.
something. We got to do something.
Riot.
That's the thing, though. We'll never riot. It's
Burn
just like
everything
everyone's LARPing.
down.
Everyone Asian who says, "Oh, we're gonna riot," that's
Like,
LARP.
how ironic would it be to burn down that fire station? Put
Yeah.
this fire out, motherfuckers.
But FBI, that's not me saying that.
No, yeah, I'm not saying literally.
It's this guy.
Like theoretically.
That's actually what
imaginatively.
Michael Wan is doing. He's actually planning the burning of a fire station. That's what he's a secret hardcore radical leftist.
Well, according to some sources, the LA riots were planned by the Compton Police Department, as well as several black city council officials. So
Well, I mean, that happened during this Black Lives Matter movement. I literally watched some non-black people walking down the street just breaking windows in shops.
I'm talking about like the government officials.
No,
organizing these.
yeah.
I'm
for
not
sure.
talking about. You're talking about maybe like federal, like
Yeah, like the police and the
being anarchists.
Yeah.
Right. Well, anyway, thank you all for tuning in, and I hope you've all come to the same conclusion that we have, that this country is not supportive of us, and maybe we should
Get the fuck out.
feel the same way about them.
Riot.
Not necessarily a riot, but hey, if millions of us rose up,
Just
then
like wake up. Like
Yeah,
people
wait.
are
first step is to wake up.
I don't mean like looting. I mean like rioting,
like Asian
Like,
people are just so
Be mad publicly.
they're just so
What's
confusion for
Servile.
for the lack of a better term. Like they assume that other people are rational actors
Yeah.
when this country is shown us that it's not anywhere near that. And
Yeah.
so, this is what I say about China too, or Chinese people.
Okay.
I think
Wait. Let's save that for we're going to do China next. But, the first step, if, as Ed wants, he wants a big riot. I say that's fine once we have millions of us ready to do it. But for now, we're not there. Right now, we're educating, right? So that's what we're doing. Thanks, Doug, and thanks, Ed, for, educating the people so that we can
riot.
do something someday.
Yeah.
Like peacefully hold hands and sing We Shall Overcome.
While being really angry.
Yeah, and we're going to be very angry. And maybe we'll do a 1,000,000-man march or something someday. Who knows? But yeah. Anyway, we'll be back next time. And on our next episode, we're going to talk a lot about China.
China.
It's going to be all about China the next episode. So stay tuned for our next episode. And Doug will have a lot to say. And Ed,
Play the Trump accordion.
Oh, okay.
China.
All right, we'll be right back
No?
next time, guys. Peace. Wait, what are you doing?
The Trump accordion. When he's talking, he always does this. It's
Yeah,
like China.
Oh, China.
Yeah.
China. Yeah. Nobody knows the Bible more than me. Like, oh, God.
2
Corinthians? I don't know what that is.
He said 2 Corinthians.
Oh, he said
It's Second
Second
Corinthians.
Corinthians. Okay. I was like, I think I'm getting what Doug's getting at. I was like, I'm not sure.
In 2 Corinthians.
Anyway. So, last week,
Smoked up.
yeah, how was your tonkatsu? Was it good?
It was actually pretty good. The portions were fucking huge.
Wait, where did you go?
Dasang tonkatsu.
Is that the new place?
It's a new place. Apparently, they're known now for having just like these fucking huge ass portions. Like I had to take, some of it back home.
But they're thin, right? They're not like a
Yeah, they're
it's
like
they
schnitzels, right?
flattened it out, right?
Yeah, like a schnitzel.
Yeah, like a big.
What's a schnitzel?
It's like Austrian or German.
German.
tonkatsu.
Yeah, it's a tonkatsu.
I don't know. It's like
they
this
like
big plate.
flatten it to
The
like
meat is very
this
thin, right?
It's not like too thin, but it's like it's regular tonkatsu.
Oh man, I really like it when
thickness.
it's really thin.
Oh, I don't think it was like super thin.
Schnitzels are fucking delicious.
But the curry was really good.
Was it?
Have you
Yeah.
been to Wako?
What's wako?
That's the
Tonkatsu
famous
place.
tonkatsu
Oh, I don't know.
Theirs are more thicker and like high quality. I guess.
Oh no, I don't
But
think it was
I do
like.
I think I
thick.
like the flattened
It was
ones.
I
probably
mean,
like,
I like the thick ones too. Cutlets are delicious, but man, those thin schnitzels, they just hit different.
I don't know.
We'll get you some schnitzel one
All
day.
right.
Anyway.
Except like schnitzels, they don't.